Good morning, it's May 11th. A lovely 9 degrees here as I start out still. This is just going to be kind of a random ramble. No particular destination. We'll go over sort of toward the creek and maybe zigzag back. Beautiful morning. Or green all the time. You can sort of see a flush of green in all the trees there. And of course the grass is quite green. It'll be greener if we get some rain. There's supposed to be some rain maybe this weekend, so we'll see. That would be nice. Like I said, I probably won't walk in the rain, not heavy rain anyway, because the gimbal's not waterproof. Sort of centered there. We'll see what that means. Depends on how much rain we get. I don't know. I'll play it by ear. I haven't missed a day yet since I started doing this, but eventually I will. And it'll probably be weather related if I do. Yes, we're headed to the footbridge. All roads lead eventually to a bridge. We're going to change sides of the river. We'll go up to Cameron Street here. Oh, so blue and green this morning. Watch my footing. I almost took a tumble the other day doing this because I missed a step in a playground that I didn't register visually. It certainly registered when I put my foot out and there was thin air there. But I didn't fall. Just kind of went oof. And the motion smoothing kind of covered that up. Those row houses that I like to point out. For some reason there's lots of people on the sidewalk headed my way. There they are. I like those. Okay, now I'll go back on the sidewalk as we turn down Cameron toward the footbridge. These houses, as I've said before, are completely new. Since I lived just one more block over here. The neighborhood has become much more modern and bigger houses since I lived down here. So what do we have to do today? Well, I've got some nonfiction to do, a couple of little assignments this morning. It'll only take me an hour or two. And then it's back to Tangled Stars, my novel for Daw, which is moving along. It's a much funnier book than I thought it was when I originally conceived of it. I didn't think of it as a funny book, but as soon as I started with my main character, who was a bit of a rogue, and put it in first person, all his scenes are in first person, other scenes are in third person, that's the tone that quickly took hold, and so I'm going with it. Quite green over there, the E's coming out. There seems to be a big truck in my way, so I might as well avoid it now and avoid the rush. He's pretty much blocking the sidewalk. There's work going on that new house on the right down here. That's probably what that's related to. There's another big truck turning around down there, coming back with something or other. If you're watching me live on Facebook or YouTube, let me know. And I will say hi. To avoid all of the vehicles here. He's apparently coming back out again. I don't know why. Don't know why he went down there and turned around. Maybe he's lost. I thought he had something to do with this construction work here. This big house that's been under construction all the time I've been walking down here, taking shape. Okay, there's good old footbridge coming up. So I posted those clips, as I mentioned yesterday, from Flip the Script, the Regina Lyric musical theater online concert of gender-swapped Broadway songs. I've posted a clip of my daughter Alice singing Tonight at 8 from She Loves Me, and my wife and I singing Sue Me from Guys and Dolls, with me singing Adelaide and her singing Nathan Detroit. And then the pièce de résistance is my quartet doing Maria, better known as How Do You Solve a Problem Like Maria, from The Sound of Music. All 4 parts, 4 nuns, 4 little nunny me's. Take the traditional look at the creek in the morning, one way, and the other way. Quite a bit of leaves on that tree now. There we go. So those are on my YouTube channel, if that happens to be where you're watching this. If it's not, you can look up Edward Willett on YouTube and you'll find me. Actually, I did set up a tiny URL. tinyurl.com/Edward Willett on YouTube. I don't know if the capitals matter or not. It is all capitalized, but first words. But anyway, look it up and you can watch those clips if you want. If you're on YouTube right now, say hi. Well, unless you're watching the recording, which goes up later, in which case you can leave a comment, but it won't be live. So a lot of walks start this way, but I'm going to go through Waterfall Park here and get over to Elphinstone. There's a nice view of the creek in the sunshine. Bushes here, the hedge greening up nicely. It's very still this morning, at least by Saskatchewan standards. So the water's quite glassy. Goes with my eyes. I literally have glassy eyes because I wear contacts, so I suppose it's not really glass. Semi-rigid gas permeable is what I wear. I can't wear soft ones. Astigmatism and all that sort of thing, but and a really, really high prescription. I'm lucky contacts have worked as well for me as they have. All right. There's the Waterfall Park. No waterfall yet, but it should be coming. I like the pine trees here. There's just has that slight mountain feel, even though we're nowhere near the mountains. No waterfall yet. Aha, saw that step before I stepped down. And no water in the little creek either yet. It's all part of the waterfall, which is all really a, you know, artificial waterfall, obviously. And an artificial creek, that little piece of it. Let's see, over there, or, yeah, I guess we'll go this way. Again, this is kind of a random ramble. So far, I don't know that anybody's watching live. But if you are, thanks for joining me. Bring us out up here, these steps alongside Elphinstone. I'll strip them all over there. Various things in it, including Tommy's, our restaurant down here, which has a nice lounge I've written in once or twice. Not recently, and I wish I could, because I really do think that I'm less productive trying to work at home. Which is weird. Being a writer, I think being stuck at home wouldn't hurt me much, and it doesn't really, but, and yet it does, because the times I've been most productive and written the most words in a day, I haven't been at home. I wrote Shadows, the second book in the Masks of Agreement trilogy, which was written under the pseudonym E.C. Blake. I wrote those in, I wrote that one, 100,000 words in a month, without any trouble at all. Going out mostly to the Wascana Country Club, where we have a membership, and sitting in the Spike Lounge there and working. Once things open up a bit more, maybe I'll become much more productive, because I think of myself as a prolific writer, and yet I've been struggling to turn out the words. Now, you don't really know why. The other time I wrote, well, okay, I did, working at home, write 60,000 words in 2 weeks when I wrote Doran the Fairy, the fifth book in the Shards of Excalibur series. I did that one in 2 weeks, but it was the climactic book. I knew exactly what was going to happen, and it just all came together really quick. I always hope they know where their side mirrors are when they go by me like that. So I don't want to find out when it hits me in the back of the head. And I think we'll zig over here at the jaywalk. As these cars go by, I should be able to go over. Probably all headed to the school up here, Sheldon Williams. What was I saying? Well, yeah, the other time I was really prolific was at the Banff Center. I did 50,000 words in a week there. When I took a self-directed residency there. When I was working on Magebane, which I wrote as Lee Arthur Chain from the Black. That's my longest book so far, 150,000 words. And I really broke the back of it at Banff. 50,000 words in a week, a third of the book. So I can be very fast, but it depends on the book. And Tangled Stars, it's complicated. I kind of had a false start, and then I got stuck a bit and had to go back and rethink. So that's why I'm glad it's starting to move again now. It is overdue, really. I mean, I have an extension, but it needs to get done. It's coming out next year, not this year. The only doll book I'll have this year is the mass market paperback of The Moonlit World, book 4 in the World Shaper series, which came out in trade paperback and ebook in September. I'm running into all kinds of people here because they're all heading to school, I guess. So I'm kind of zigzagging here, as you probably noticed. I haven't really walked in some of these streets before, so it's a bit new. Seeing lots of school kids, high school kids, because of Sheldon Williams Collegiate just off to my left. Up there's the park with the creek that I walked by yesterday. Gives me another nice little zig, or possibly zag. Park again, this little short alley down there. On the Kickstarter front, I paid another author yesterday. This is for Shapers of Worlds Volume 2. There's Sheldon Williams Collegiate over there. Shapers of Worlds Volume 2, which is the anthology featuring second-year guests of my podcast, The World Shapers, which you can find at theworldshapers.com. Last year I kickstarted Volume 1, which features guests from the first year. That one had 18 stories, 9 original stories and 9 reprints. This one will have 24 stories, 18 original stories, as many original stories as all the stories in the book last time, and 6 reprints. Still a few to come, but I've got a lot of them, which means once I get through The Tangled Stars, I will be doing editing on that to get that book out this fall. Kickstarter version and the commercial version. There's the park. So anyway, Candace Jane Dorsey sent me her story over the weekend, and I sent her a contract yesterday. It's a great story, I really enjoyed it. I have to write one too. And in fact, somebody bought a Tuckerization, not bought, but backed at a level at which they received a Tuckerization, which is their name used as a character in my story for the book. So at least I know the name of one character. And I think I know which idea I'm going to go with, but I haven't started writing anything yet. If you're there watching this live, check in with me. Be nice to know. There's the footbridge down here that we've often crossed, but this time, because I'm randomly rambling, I will go left and zigzag again here. Which will take us back toward the school again. There's a school bus pulling up in front of it up there. I always think, well, not always, but sometimes think of the Moody Blue song when I'm doing this. I know you're out there somewhere, somewhere, somewhere. I know I'll find you somewhere. Somehow you'll return again to me. Well, I don't know that you're out there somewhere, but usually I find that somebody's been watching without bothering to check in, which is fine. But if you would like to say hi, it's always nice to see. All right, there's Sheldon Williams. I will walk. I don't want to go to the left here, so I will ramble back to the right again. Been there many times, rehearsed there for shows and concerts and things, depending on the group I was in. And oh, the birds enjoying the sprinkler there. I can't see them now, but they were fluttering around in it. And Alice, when she was in elementary school, the band program rehearsed there. It's called the Swamp, Sheldon Williams Area Music Program. So I used to have to drop her off there for band and pick her up. And the band concerts would be there. Nice little cul-de-sac. Alice played trombone. I played French horn right through university. First time I won anything at music festival was actually for playing the French horn, not for singing. But by the time I got to university, I ended up as fourth chair, so I wasn't exactly a terrific French horn player, apparently. And especially fourth chair French horn. You don't play the most exciting lines. And we were a marching band for half of the year. There's nothing more thankless than playing a French horn in marching band, because first of all, you mostly play afterbeat in marching music, and second, your sound goes the opposite direction from everybody else because of the way it curves and the bell points behind you. Our drum major, Mickey Cox, was a French horn player, but he also had a, what are they called, mellophonium, I think, which is basically a straightened out French horn. Not quite, it has a bigger mouthpiece too, but similar, but it's designed so that the sound goes out front. Scan the street, where you're still randomly rambling. More big noisy trucks. For one, anyway. Let's stay on this side. Somebody else getting work done. We're planning to build a deck. Not out of lumber. There'll be some lumber involved, but not a lot. We're doing an extension too, which is good because apparently lumber's gone up. Inflation in general seems to be kicking in thanks to all of the over-the-top stimulus from various governments. So they've mostly screwed up the pandemic response, and now they're screwing up the economics too. But that's government for you. I'm not a big government kind of guy. I say I'm kind of a squishy libertarian. I mostly want the government to just leave me alone, but I like my Canadian healthcare. But my motto's always been to err is human, but to really screw things up takes the government. So that's where I come from. All right, we've walked all the way out to Pasqua, I believe, yes. I haven't very often gone past Pasqua, so maybe I'll ramble over on the other side here just for something new. It is a crosswalk, which helps, as long as the bus that's coming is paying attention to it. He's turning, so that works. So I haven't really walked down over here, I don't think, so this will be new. Again, if you're watching live on YouTube or Facebook, let me know. That would be nice. If you're watching the recording, I hope you're enjoying it on this beautiful spring day. It's as far as you can go. This is the last street before the sort of empty space this side of the Louvain. And the airport's off to my right, up ahead and off to the right. I've got a newly paved road and a quite beat up sidewalk along here. Here comes that bus that was going past me back when I crossed Pasqua. Nice street, never been down here before. You have to need to come here. It's not on the way to anywhere. Nice and wide and quiet and lots of trees. Well, all planted by someone, as I like to point out, in Regina. Even when you're in the park, very few have grown up of their own volition. And so curve us back around toward Pasqua here. Cross, because the sidewalk is quite broken up there and it looks smoother on the other side. Also, this is my next zig. I'll be going right up here now that I've turned back around and I'm heading east into the sun, which will make it harder to see if you send me a comment, but I'll spot it eventually and try to find a place where I can read it. If you want to say hi. So this is Pasqua again. We just curved around. Oop, duck. Another crosswalk, so we'll cross here. There's Sheldon Williams ahead of us again, so that's if you're trying to keep track of where we are. Okay. Cross here at the crosswalk. Some cars coming. Go down to the right, which is Regina Avenue. And we'll start working our way back home. Oh, unstable internet connection. First time I've seen that today. I wouldn't have thought I'd get it here, as close to the airport. So if I'm buffering, which I undoubtedly am, sorry about that. Out of my control. Those of you watching the recording, you won't care. That's actually a senior's residence over there. All right, we'll go left here, or maybe we'll cross. No, I'll go left here. I'm not going to walk on the other side today. So now we head down Regina Avenue, long and straight, as you can see. I thought that was an animal, but it's just a newspaper flapping in the yard there. It's funny how our brains will take unexpected movement, and our first thought is usually an animal, which probably has evolutionary, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about evolution, because apparently some university in the UK is trying to cancel the theory of evolution because it's racist. So, you know, so much for science. Doesn't quite go to the vanishing point because here's a hill. Anyway, I will go back to my left again here momentarily, just because Regina Avenue is so long and straight and fairly busy. It's always nicer to walk a little further away from the traffic. So we'll go to our left again. Again, random ramble. Back into school territory here. Apartment buildings here. This is not school over here. This is, well, it says Sikh Society of Regina, which explains the, it's a Sikh temple, which explains the decoration there. Probably was a school at one point, but now it's a Sikh temple. Apartments for rent, if you need one. This one's been re-sided somewhere, I would think. That's Sheldon Williams in front of us now. So we were down on the other corner on the way out, and now we'll go this way. Into the sun. don't go into the light. Don't really have a choice. My left shin, I guess you'd call it. I don't know what you call it, lower knee? Shin, I would think. The, right below my knee anyway. Started hurting after my long walk on Sunday, I guess. But it's not bothering me too much now. Some tendon or ligament. I may have done it. I've been trying to figure out how I could have done it. And I'll bet you it was when I caught myself on that step that I mentioned earlier where I almost fell because I was looking at the screen and missed a downward step and took a really hard step down. I'll bet you that's what it was. Caught myself and didn't fall, but it was a good jolt. So it's always good to be able to figure out why something hurts, and it's not just a sudden pain for no apparent reason, especially if you're as much of a hypochondriac as I am. Not really hypochondriac, but hypersensitive, I think. I blame Reader's Digest. He always used to read stories in Reader's Digest, which we subscribe to. You know, so-and-so had a pain in his leg, and 2 weeks later he was dead, or 2 weeks later he only had one leg, or it's always things like that. One morning, John sneezed. Little did he know, it was the first sign of Ebola. And I actually wrote a book on Ebola, which didn't help, because it begins, like all the things that kill you, with flu-like symptoms. Even though I knew, logically, I could not have Ebola, it still makes you think. The book I wrote on meningitis was worse, because, again, starts with flu-like symptoms. And viral meningitis, while annoying, is not particularly dangerous. I mean, it's not unpleasant, but bacterial meningitis leading to septic shock and all that stuff, that's what kills people quite quickly if it's not caught. So boy, do you get to, oh, stiff neck, huh? Well, of course, I've been working on the book, bent over my desk typing for hours, and it's like, oh, you know, my neck is kind of stiff. But I'm still here. I'll take another little jog to the left just to keep it varied. That's our intersection coming up. Let's head back home, the last bit. This is the Sheldon Williams Schoolyard. It's a baseball diamond out here. Looks a bit hilly for baseball, but it definitely looks like a backstop. I walked down this bit of alley before. At least I figure if I can walk briskly and talk at the same time, I'm unlikely to suddenly keel over. No guarantees. You know, so there's a reason to watch these. Will Ed make it to the end of this walk? This live stream has gone 45 days without a fatality. I was going to say without an injury, but that's not true because, as I just said, I think I hurt my knee almost taking a tumble the other day. And when I first started walking, my knees bothered me quite a bit. It's why I'm not jogging. I was jogging last fall before the snow came in along the creek, about 4K. I was doing it pretty religiously, but my knees started to bother me, and then I had to stop and couldn't do anything for a few days. Well, that seems counterproductive, so I'll stick to walking. But doing these live streams is great motivation to keep doing it, even when apparently nobody is watching, like this morning. So I haven't had so much as a boo. We've got one more jog we can do here. It's a curving road to the left we will take, instead of walking straight to the intersection and on home. This will take us behind the strip mall here, and there's a condo building. I said before, this was a Disciples of Christ or Christian church when we first moved here, which was interesting because it's now an Bethlehem Apostolic Church. Because my church background is the Church of Christ, which came out of a movement called the Restoration Movement in the early 19th century in the States, which was to restore first century Christianity in all its simplicity and lack of hierarchy. There's nothing beyond the local congregation organizationally of the church, and a cappella singing, because that's what a cappella means in the style of the church, the style of the chapel. And that was the standard for probably centuries before instruments came in. So all that kind of stuff. And the Christian church came out of the same movement, but there was a division because the Christian church wanted more hierarchy, more things like missionary societies, I believe, was the big one at the time. And anyway, there was a split and they grew apart after that. That would be Restoration History 101. As my daughter likes to say, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Her TED Talks usually have to do with some thing that she's really taken with, by way of books or television or something at the time, and they're always fascinating. I keep telling her she wants to write an essay, a collection of essays about some of these topics. Waterfall Press would gladly publish them. All right, we're gonna just take a different route over here to get back to the footpath. Walk by the creek again at the end of our journey together. And the park, the Waterfall Park, is on the other side of those trees. The sprinkler park is right here. If you want to play in a sprinkler, here's your chance. I'm not going to do it. Have a picnic in between the sprinklers. Might not get wet. This is one of the most developed baseball fields. Oh! Or softball, probably, mostly. It actually has bleachers behind the backstop. Over here are concessions and washrooms and things. Gary Bobbitt Clubhouse, it says. And I'm sure up here, I should know the name of the field. I've walked by it often enough. But let's just see what it says. Kiwanis Waterfall Park. Yes, that's over there, where we walked through earlier. This is the Devonian Pathway. All dogs must be on a leash. Huh. Must have a name. Maybe it's Jerry Bobbitt. That's the name on the clubhouse. It's not on the signs. Maybe that's why I didn't know what it was off the top of my head. All right, now we're down by the creek again. Getting close to home. Another 10 minutes or so. How long have I walked today? 45 minutes so far. Yeah, it'll be about the usual length. About an hour. You can go down here, but not for very far. Get a little closer to the creek. But you quickly run out of path into the brush, and a little more in that direction, but there's a culvert right here. And there's a sign, which I've hardly ever looked at. Fortunately, it's weathering badly. Somebody, Louis Pascoe. It's a monument to a child who died at the age of 5. I don't know the story there, but that's sad. Okay. That'll pick me up. We'll continue. I still think I can say 45 days without a fatality, because although that memorializes a fatality, it wasn't me. There's the Waterfall Park again. Through the trees. Gimbal always gets confused if you point it in a weird direction to look at something. Probably that means I should be using the control here to move it around. So if I wanted to look down, let's see, it goes that far up. Yeah, it goes all the way down there. So I could do that when I wanted to look at something, and maybe it would stay centered better. Maybe I'll try to remember that. I'll probably forget. Again, look how green the hedge is here now. How green were my hedges. The creek is very still. And I should have done what I said I would do, because the gimbal prompter got confused, because I turned it, my whole hand, instead of using the controls. We'll walk along the dike, going back to vary things. There's the footbridge. Already looked up and down the creek. I will resolutely point forward on this trip over the footbridge. And I go right along the dike. Right along the dike to the right. Lots of birds, if I quit talking. The trees are alive with the sound of birdsong. Ah. I think just very things. I'll walk down to the final staircase down. Takes me a little out of my way, but not too far. Because this one here would be the direct route home. We're going to go just a little further. Oh, somebody on a pontoon down there. That's unusual. I don't think I've seen that before. See him down there. Up here, of course, is the Albert Street Bridge. But here where this trash can is, there's another way down. That's what we're taking today. Very warm walking into the sun. So I'd say there's about 5 minutes left here if you want to say hi and you've been watching live. Take another look back along the creek with the guy on the pontoon. Waterboard, whatever it is. And then we'll head down the ramp here. I think I call it a staircase, but there's no actual staircase here. It's a ramp. This puts us on Angus Boulevard. So much for the quiet neighborhood. I like the colors on this house. Walk down this side of the boulevard because I usually don't. I'm usually coming back from the lake, which puts me on the other side. I like this brick house too, as I mentioned before, with the lions on the steps, like the New York Public Library. This goes to an alley, which takes us to Angus Crescent, which takes us home. So about an hour when I get there. Maybe a little over since I went a little out of my way there. Nobody has checked in live today. Doesn't mean you're not there. If you are and you've been watching me live, thank you. You can still say hi. Only had a couple of internet instability warnings, so hopefully everything went smoothly. Hopefully Facebook had sound. Sometimes it doesn't for no apparent reason. Hopefully the YouTube feed did not fail, as it has maybe 3 times since I've been doing this. Usually I get a message about that too, but not always. Child, I thought it was a cat. Interesting house for the neighborhood. Looks like it belongs in the mountains, in a forest somewhere. And there's Davin School ahead of us, where our daughter went to elementary school. And here's Angus Crescent. Almost there. Alrighty. That'll do. So, thank you very much for watching. If you are there live, hope you enjoyed it. And if you're watching the recording, I hope you enjoyed that too. I expect I'll be back tomorrow. Bye for now.